Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Backstone Boxing. Man, wild stuff, man. My boy, Terance Crawford versus Showtime Shawn Porter, the fight that everyone was clamoring for. Everyone kept saying Terance Crawford fighting weak opponents this, Terance Crawford fighting weak opponents that, and he finally fights a top PBC fighter, one of the top three, you know, wild stuff, man. Showtime Shawn Porter, a guy who's never been stopped before in the welterweight division or period, right? Never been stopped, right? Only all losses by decision, never been stopped. Fights Terance Crawford, 3-division champion. This is his 3rd division at 147. And he stops Shawn Porter in the 10th round. Technical knockout, 10th round TKO. And that was wild stuff, man. Now, I picked Showtime Shawn Porter to win the fight, man. I thought that he'd be too aggressive for him. And in the beginning of the fight, man, he was really aggressive, and he made it an ugly fight. And I gave Shawn Porter those early rounds. Now, the problem is Terance Crawford did not oblige him in fighting a dog fight. He actually boxed, and he boxed southpaw the whole time, right, to get those angles on Shawn Porter so he could work more, right? And he was able to figure Shawn Porter out and time him with basically turning right hooks and just changing the angle up on Shawn Porter, so when he comes in straight in, he can just pivot and hit him with the right hook. Right? Pivot, left uppercut. He just made it real difficult for Shawn Porter to move forward or any angles, really, because Terance Crawford is using his angles. Now, that being said, man, I always thought Terance Crawford was a small welterweight. It looks like he's full welterweight now, and he stopped Shawn Porter. And my God, man, I mean, at this point in Terance Crawford's career, I always thought he was just too small for the welterweight division, even with all those knockouts. The competition at Top Rank is, in my opinion, suspect, right? It's not as good as PBC, right? Showtime Shawn Porter is a former champion in the welterweight division. So is Danny Garcia, so is Keith one-time Thurman. The guys in Top Rank, you know, right now, the only guy they used to have is Jeff Horn, right? And Terance Crawford, but now Terance Crawford seemingly left Top Rank. So it's just low competition's not as deep as PBC, right? That being said, man, with Terance Crawford stopping Showtime Shawn Porter, man, the wave has went toward him now, and in my opinion, he looked better in the fight with Shawn Porter versus then Errol the True Spence by stopping Shawn Porter. That being said, styles do make fights, man. Will this fight play out the same way as Errol Spence Jr.? I don't think so, but I do favor Terance Crawford over Spence now that Terance Crawford beat Shawn Porter like this. Like I said earlier, the only reason why I pick Errol Spence over Terance Crawford or anyone over Terance Crawford is just because I think he's a small welterweight. But now that he stopped Shawn Porter, there's no doubts in my mind that he's that guy now. He's just that guy, and he showed why he's the #1 pound-for-pound fighter right now, because he's stopping these guys in at least 60-40 fights. Shawn Porter, not only did he beat Shawn Porter, but he dominated him and by knockout. Now, when it was early, you know, Shawn Porter did look good, but understand Shawn Porter was at 100% then, and he was starting off real strong. It wasn't that Terance Crawford was doing bad. It was that Shawn Porter was starting off really fast. So when the later rounds came, he didn't have the same energy he did later, and Terance Crawford paced himself more, right? It takes more energy to be the aggressor than a boxer, at least when you're fighting southpaw, because you have to be more aggressive if you're fighting orthodox than you're fighting southpaw, especially if you're a natural boxer and you're a southpaw fighter. All you gotta do is shift angles a little bit, and the guy's coming forward, you counter him, it's gonna make him think twice, right? So that being said, man, it was wild stuff, man. It was a right hook. It was like a hook in between a hook and a jab that really stopped Shawn Porter. It was reminiscent of the KO with Kell Brook and Terance Crawford. Terance Crawford's heavy-handed, man. His punches don't look like they hurt, but this is the second time I've seen him hit a guy as a southpaw. His right hand is up front, right? So it looks like a jab or a regular hook jab, whatever, and it doesn't look like it does much, but their opponents say otherwise, man. Their opponents say otherwise, and that punch Shawn Porter got hit with didn't look strong, but you see his face and his reaction. He was upset. He was mad. He was just he couldn't figure the guy out, man. When he got dropped at the end, he started like freaking out on the ground, and his dad just came in and threw in a towel. That shows the high IQ of Terance Crawford, and this was an IQ match at the end of the fight. In the beginning, it was a toe-to-toe fight with Shawn Porter. That was his game, man. That's his bread and butter. I knew if they came down to that, Shawn Porter would win it, and he was doing it earlier in the fight. As the fight went on, it started becoming an IQ test because you can't just be aggressive like that against a hard hitter like Terance Bud Crawford. But all that being said, man, it was a good fight. Terance Bud Crawford shows why he's the #1 pound-for-pound fighter right now and why he's that guy. That was a really impressive win by him. And I mean, Terance Crawford is steps to becoming the first undisputed champion in boxing history. 2-time undisputed, right? He's already undisputed at 140. He's trying to do it at 147. This is what people want, man. People want people to conquer a weight division, get all titles, and then move up. Go another weight division, get all the titles, and then move up. I'm tired of seeing fighters, I'm talking about you, Canelo, getting one belt and leaving the division and then going up. Now, Canelo Alvarez got all the belts at 168, but he needs to do the same thing at 175 instead of going all the way to cruiserweight. Instead of padding his record, so when he does take another L, people are like, oh, well, he dares to be great. I don't want to hear that, man. And I have to bring Canelo up right now because I still think that Terance Crawford is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter. And the chance of him being Errol Spence Jr. right now, especially after Errol Spence Jr. got the eye surgery, is like exponential now. It's exponential. I'm big on Terance Crawford now, and I think he's that guy to beat Errol Spence Jr. I've seen too much from Terance Crawford that Errol Spence Jr. Couldn't do. He could not do. And this is Errol Spence Jr. pre the car crash. This is before the car crash, right? So this is prime Errol Spence. Could not stop Shawn Porter. Terance Crawford did, and he out-IQ'd him. Wild stuff, man. We're going to see, man. I mean, I'm on Crawford now, man. I think he's that guy. So this is a big fight, man. Big fight for boxing. Man, this was hype. People were saying this crowd was like, they think we're in Omaha right now. It was wild stuff, man. But I'm still big on Shawn Porter, man. He fought his heart out. He took some punishment in this fight, but not too much. He's always exciting. And when Terance Crawford eventually leaves the division, I'll be looking for Shawn Porter to get one of those titles again and be champion soon, for sure. No doubt about it, man. The guy has a lot of heart. One of the toughest fighters, coming from Ohio, like my boy AB, like my boy Robert Easter Jr., and many other top dogs from Ohio, man. I'm not sure what it is up there. Maybe it's something in the cornbread, but these Ohio guys, man, they get it, man. Big shout out to Showtime Shawn Porter. Big shout out to Terance Bud Crawford, man. Two of my favorite fighters to watch out of the most weight division, bar none. Keep your head up, Shawn Porter. Great fight, man. Terance Crawford, the sky's the limit for the guy. He's looked like he's going to be a historic fighter, and I'm blessed to even watch the guy fight in my lifetime, like live. It's crazy. I can say that I grew up and I watched Terance Crawford fight, and this guy is close to being a 2-time undisputed champion. Wild stuff, man. Wild stuff. But you can't talk past the truth. Air of the truth, Spence. #strap season. My guy, he's a dog. But, the guy's been through a lot, man. Car crashes, eye surgeries. The guy can't catch a break, man. He can't catch a break. But we're going to see how this whole thing plays out, man. We're going to see how my boy Terance Crawford reacts to this. I'm pretty sure he's going to be reacting to it very, very soon. Big deal, man. Big deal. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Wow, Terance Crawford got that 10th round TKO. Wow stuff, man. Kenny Porter, his father saved him, man. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Like, comment, subscribe. This is the Empire. GeoBox Empire. Peace.